Well, it's Christmas. I hope you're enjoying the festivities, but it's the perfect time on this channel to bring back something a little bit special. My top threes have been away since the end of FM22, so let's bring it back for the festive season, because now it's been 2 months since the release of the FM23 beta, and many of us have racked up tens or perhaps even hundreds of hours playing the new game. The big question is this though: what have been the best changes in FM23? Now, I know we all like to focus on the little things or annoying glitches that we don't like in the game. However, the fact is that many of us get incredible value for money playing Football Manager every year. With that in mind, today I'm going to be positive. I'm going to give you my top 3 favourite changes to the game, upgrades, new features, best areas, whatever it may be. But my favourite bits of FM23, having played it a large number of hours now. If you like the sound of that, then do add a thumbs up to the video, subscribe for daily FM23 content from 2 long-term stories. A quick thank you to today's sponsor, HelloFresh, which you can see next to my head. Get 50% off your first box and 35% off the next 3 using the code at checkout or the link down in the description below. With that done though, let's head straight into my number 3 favourite area in Football Manager 2023. My number 3 is scouting. This is an area that's going to link to number 1 a bit later in the episode as well. There's been a lot of complaints, weirdly, about scouting in this year's game, particularly due to the overhaul of the recruitment focus reporting and the way scouted players are shown. For me though, this is something that looks far more akin to the realistic footballing world from FM23. For example, not every player a scout starts to look at will lead to a report and or a recommendation to sign. The addition of the in-progress and near matches tabs for ongoing recruitment focuses allow you to see the work being done by your scouts from start to finish. It also answers a number of questions that were left perhaps unresolved in previous years of the game, such as why is a report taking so long and why are my scouts so busy when it looks like they're doing so little. To see your scouts and recruitment team doing their own filtering of reports before sending them to you has also meant a lot less inbox messages. Unsuitable reports and time wasted when planning to recruit players is something that I absolutely hate. So overall, I'd argue this is one of my favourite upgrades or overhauls to an area of the game for probably a number of years in Football Manager. In a way, it's nice not to get the 30 unrealistically brilliant scout reports every time too, because when your scouts look for a player, they often give you a huge advantage as the human manager. I know this has been a contentious debate in FM23 though, so we'll leave that one there for now. Let's move on to one that always leads to an even more heated argument. Time for number 2. Oh yes, it's the match engine, specifically the animations. Now, I know the animations in the match engine will always get tons of criticism in Football Manager. In some cases, you could strongly argue that they're justified. So before we move on here, let's clear something up very, very quickly. I know that a number of people with access to high-end computing would love to see a massively upgraded match animation engine. Some people even want to see it FIFA style. That's fine. However, this would likely reduce the possible Football Manager customer base by at least 50%. Because let's be honest here, most of us, including me for the most part, play the game on standard PC desktops or laptops and aren't looking for the big all singing all dancing FIFA animation style match engine. The reason I've included it in this top 3 though is not because it's a sublime Ultra HD match engine. Instead, we've seen massive upgrades and improvements to types of animations and patterns of play that have been a frustration for several years to regular players. How many times did we used to lament the players for shooting from impossible angles by the byline, largely because they were incapable of cutting it back or crossing from acute angles? Now we see all 3 at appropriate times. Player attributes, match situations seem to much more accurately reflect how often players take on different options, and it's nice to see a little bit of composure in the box, the ball being cut back, a nice finish, a ball flashed across the box, whatever it may be. There's also far better goalkeeping animations. I'm a particular fan of some of the saves with the feet and the smothering of through balls this year. There are still problems with that, but it's hugely improved from what we've ever seen before. Add to that improved defending from the back 3 since the last big update, and you have to say that so many of the things the community have been crying out for have been drastically improved in this year's animation engine. I'm not saying there aren't still plenty to go, by the way, so you don't need to get your angry comments in, but it's a huge upgrade and make matches more fluent and enjoyable to watch now. Despite that though, it's still not enough to take top spot for me. So let's go and see what I've placed at number 1. It is Recruitment. So I mentioned earlier, a little bit linked to number 3, but let's talk about Recruitment in detail because I love the fact it is, to be honest, because from the headline and the other features announced before FM23 was released, I thought this area was going to be the most improved and my favourite, and I'm really glad that that's been the case. From my point of view, I certainly don't feel let down by the upgrades. The recruitment process seems so much more complete and realistic this year, which has led to more enjoyment for the human manager and often far better decisions from the AI one too, and that leads to a more competitive game, which is good for us all. As we've seen in my main YouTube save, the head coach, a director of football with decent skills and attributes, is now actually capable of building a squad, and a strong and balanced squad as well. This was one of my big complaints last year, probably the biggest in truth, but the changes have been almost revolutionary. Of course, it starts with the scouting features, a more in-depth look at how players have been found and filtered, as we discussed in number 3. Crucially though, the work hasn't stopped there. At the lower levels of the game, you get detailed information and recommendations about try lists, making that aspect of management more realistic and user-friendly. At the higher levels, there's better use of sell-on and other future clauses by the AI, as well as more realistic loan offers from their managers too. This means the transfer window works far more fluently, and it does so across the whole footballing world. It avoids the issue that we had in FM22, where everyone had an ancient squad after 10 years. You do see different approaches by different types of staff, and that's something we can all get behind. It also means that you've got the chance to negotiate properly too. You have to think about giving long contracts to average players, you can utilise the loan market more for loan players, and you can't just take advantage of every cheat in the game when it comes to clauses and of course future fees as well. But we talked about the loan market being utilised, and even that's improved too. This year we've seen that loan players getting regular football really are improving at a more progressive and realistic rate this year. The integration with the new squad planner and supporter expectations is helpful too, particularly for some it will become more influential over the next few editions of the game, I'm sure. But overall, whilst not perfect, it is a massive step up in an area that I felt let a lot of FM22 down, was probably my weakest part of the game in that one, and is definitely the biggest upgrade this year. For that reason alone, it makes the game more playable, it makes the game more enjoyable in the long term, and it makes it more challenging. So for me, it had to come in at number 1. So those are my top 3 favourite areas of FM23, but we all enjoy different parts of Football Manager more. So let me know your favourite changes to this year's game and your favourite areas more generally too. If you did enjoy the episode, please do add a thumbs up and subscribe for daily content. We'll be back with our long-term stories tomorrow as normal. Hopefully you'll all be back and not feeling too full to watch that one. But for now, Merry Christmas, and don't forget to start that health kick with my HelloFresh link down below before the 29th of December. I'll put that link above my head now too. Everything else is up in the eye above. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow.